I'm curious if you can sort of bring this all together for us and walk us through, a case study where, you sort of parachuted into an organization that was experiencing some problems. And can you walk us through the research that you did to help them learn about their consumers or grow in some other way, shape, or form, and just sort of make this, this process really concrete?
So actually, yeah, it'd be my pleasure too. I'm actually going to go back in time for when I was working at the NHL, because I think it's actually very, very relevant to what's happening today. And also, in the end, it does show that just because you're a big kind of hulking company with some extreme infrastructure doesn't mean you can't change your ways. So this goes back to 2005. Some people may not have even been alive then, but the NHL, in 2004, 2005, the NHL endured its first lockout, where, during the collective bargaining agreement, obviously the players and the owners couldn't come to an agreement, so the season was canceled, which is actually very relevant to what's happening today with COVID, is that, all sports are facing, everything's stopped. There's no games, no sponsors, no TV partners, no revenues, nothing. So you need to reinvent yourself. And, the leagues who have been around at that time, the NHL was probably about, almost 90 years old, I think. They have a way of doing things. And I had kind of gone from growth, which was, growing 10 markets in 10 NHL, new markets over 10 years, into marketing. And we needed to come up with a very strong and distinctive and defensible platform to relaunch and re-engage with our sponsors and our stakeholders. We really needed to be a new breed of NHL. And this is not unlike, other leagues and other properties who have to take this time to become the next iteration of what they are or what they were. So we engaged in really significant research, and it was honestly the first time that we spent money on true research, that we weren't saying to a research company, tell us what we want to know. We were saying to researchers, tell us what we need to know. And I would joke, I would say, I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to hear. I want you to tell me if my core demographic is an 80-year-old woman sitting and knitting, I want to know that. Literally, tell me what I don't know. So there was this intense amount of research that went on, and post-research, the key attributes of our core demographics were pretty much what we expected. They were male. They were older than what we had hoped for. They were 30 to 55. They remained the most affluent of any league. But the defining attribute that we found out through this research were that they were early adopters of technology. So that was like our bingo moment. And remember, this is in the early 2000s, okay? So this was early days for digital media, and social hadn't yet started. But that was how we were going to reposition ourselves. We were going to become the digital league. So if you kind of liken that to a company that is either has to totally pivot, or they're coming into the market and they have to reposition themselves, we knew that we would become the digital league. And that meant that everything we did, every communication, every touch point had to start with NHL.com. So we had to prove our theory. And the way that we did that was when we launched, we went back to in 2005, 2006, we went back to season, and we launched our first promotion, which was NHL All-Star Fan Balloting. And this was engineered as a digital-only platform. So anybody who knows about All-Star Fan Balloting for any of the leagues, it used to be that it was printed ballots that were stuffed and tabulated in the actual arenas, which obviously limited who could participate to just people in the arenas. And it's usually a 6-week promotion. So we got rid of all of the print, all of the stuffed balloting and tabulation, and it became digital only. And we took NHL.com, We put the program in a number of languages, broadcast globally, and it was opened up to anybody in the world who wanted to vote beyond those 30 NHL markets. So after 6 weeks, we had our proof of concept. Typically, prior to this, the NHL would receive about 2 million all-star paper ballots. So in the 2005 digital only, we received over 20 million digital ballots, which was just an enormous increase. But most importantly, we owned all that data because it came through our CRM at NHL.com. So that was the proof that the NHL needed, that they could become a tech-first sports leader. So I know that it's a long time ago, but it is kind of this classic, lesson that it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how heavy infrastructure you are. If there's a commitment from the top to make a change, so innovate and to deliver innovation and distinguish you from your competitors, you can do it. It's just there has to be an alignment from the top to the bottom. And the bigger you are, the harder that is. But it absolutely can happen.